I'm going to send this over. So we are recording now. I am.
Okay. And now my screen went on. Now I'm the host and I'm going to start sharing my screen at this point. And let's do this. Wake up. All righty. Does everybody see that? Just you can shake your head if you see it. All righty. See if I can get more people up here. There we go. Let's get some more folks here. So as Sarah mentioned, we are recording this, so we'll ask you to remain on mute unless there's a time to ask questions and things like that. That'll help keep the focus on the recording as well. Welcome to today's AARP New Hampshire presentation of downsizing and recording. My name, as you were told, is Iris. I'm your host, and I'm also running PowerPoint today. And the reason why I keep looking over to the side is because that's where all your faces are. Let's put you in the middle here, and that way I can look straight ahead. Joining me today are our co-presenters, Jill and Karen. I'm going to take a very quick moment to tell you about AARP. AARP, as you all know, is a big nationwide organization that sells you insurance and things like that, but it's actually multiple parts. And one of the parts is a foundation, a charitable foundation. So that's part two. Part three, AARP is not only nationwide, it's in every state. So there's an AARP New Hampshire, and we'll be giving you a little bit more information about that later on. When we're not stuck at home due to COVID, which we are right now, we're out and about, we're doing all kinds of things. We're offering programs, we're offering education. We would probably come right to you wherever you were gathering. But right now we're stuck at home during COVID, but we're still doing a lot of virtual programming. And we'll tell you about some of the other things that are coming up later on in the presentation. So AARP is right here. We have actually three main groups. We have one on the Seacoast, one in Manchester, and one in Concord. So we can share a little bit more about that. You can go on our website. We'll give you that later and you can check us out. But we're going to get on to the presentation now. First of all, I want to thank Susan. I want to thank Sarah and Pelham Senior Services for bringing us to you today. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We have just a few ground rules. First, let's share the floor when it's time to talk about questions, to talk about your experiences and your tips. That way we can all learn from each other. This is a judgment-free zone. What we say here doesn't go anywhere else. Okay, so you can feel free to ask your own questions. You're welcome to ask them. Your opinions are important to us. But to assure we cover all the material, we may defer some of your questions to the end of the presentation. And we already talked about staying on mute, and it looks like I have to admit someone. Sarah, there's somebody in the waiting room. I'm going to admit them. It might be Lori on the phone, actually. Okay. So, advance my slide. Take a look at the slide here. Today we're going to be talking about getting rid of the stuff that you're drowning in. Do keep in mind, we're not experts on this subject. We're sharing information that was researched and vetted by AARP, and it's intended to be educational and helpful for your downsizing and decluttering efforts. And we also realize it's difficult to write down everything we're saying, the tips that we're sharing, the places you can donate stuff. So after the presentation, we'll send Sarah a list of the different places you can donate, the different resources, and the different ways you can contact AARP so that you can be in touch with us and have the information you need. Do be advised if you're thinking of bringing things to donate, to check with the place you're thinking of bringing or shipping it first, because they may not be taking it right at that time. You don't want to make the trip if they're going to tell you, no, I'm not going to take that. And this is especially true during COVID. So you've probably spent a lot of time at home during the pandemic, and maybe you've been thinking about getting rid of stuff. And we're hoping that this presentation will help you with that. If you take a look at the before and after pictures on your screen, think about how much more restful and efficient your home office would be with just a little bit of decluttering and downsizing, or organizing, actually, not downsizing. Now I'm going to introduce you to Karen, who's going to begin to take you down the road to downsizing and decluttering. Karen, okay, you're unmuted.
Thank you, Iris. We have a couple of key goals for this workshop. First, we want to help you gain a general understanding of why stuff is so important to some people And secondly, to share practical, easy to follow downsizing and decluttering tips. Older Americans are the fastest growing age demographic. 15% of Americans are over the age of 65 right now. And in 40 years, 33% of America will be over 65. This will be the largest buying group in America, purchasing the most products and goods. For our older Americans, the two older generations, the age gap between parents and children is about 20 years. For the Gen Xers and their kids, the two younger generations, the age gap is 30 to 35 years. The two older generations have the most stuff to pass down to the two younger generations. But the age gap between the older and the younger generations does affect what stuff we want and how we feel about stuff. Keep this information in mind as I ask you to think about two things as we begin to discuss how to tackle this task of downsizing and decluttering. First, think about what you might have received from your parents and how you really feel about it. Our audiences have mentioned items such as family photos, furniture, jewelry, journals, china, family recipes, and books, and that sort of stuff. If you have received something that I not mentioned and you would like to share that with us, there will be an opportunity for you to do that when we pause for questions. We have also had viewers say that they didn't want anything they got, but they took it because they wanted to please their parents. Now think about what possessions you are holding to pass along to your children or your grandchildren, family members, or friends. Most of our viewers have said that they're considering stuff like that I've just mentioned. Some have even said that they do not plan to pass down anything because they didn't want what they got in the first place. So one final thought. Have you thought about, do your children, grandchildren, family members, or friends want your stuff? Many of you probably thought, it's true. My children and grandchildren don't want my possessions. We have room for our stuff in our large homes, but our children often live in smaller homes or apartments, and they don't have room for our stuff, nor do they need it. The studies now tell us that experience over material stuff brings us longer lasting happiness. The younger generations want experiences over material possessions. And these same studies are finding out that older generations often feel the same way. Next slide. So why does all this matter? Well, there are 3 reasons. Many older generations want to stay in their homes as long as possible. Your stuff may get in the way, prohibiting you from moving around safely or possibly from navigating with a wheelchair or a walker. Should you need live-in assistance, your things may be in the way of providing space for a caregiver. Okay, number 2, the day may come when you will want or need to downsize. You won't have room for all your belongings in your new home. Getting rid of stuff when you are getting ready to move just adds more stress to the already stressful time. So do it now. Let's be blunt. Your family may have to take care of your estate. Getting rid of your stuff adds to their stress. And they may not know that you wanted a family or a family member to receive something. And right now, I can tell you that my daughter is visiting me here from Kansas, And what she has done, I have taken her over my home and I have shown her things that mean something to me that came from our parents or my family. And she's taken a picture of each of these things and she's made notes about where they came from. And she doesn't intend to keep all of these things, but she at least now knows what's important to me and what I don't want to have end up in somebody's home that doesn't know anything about it. The first thing that impedes people from leaving their homes and or getting health care into their homes is their stuff. Next slide, please. In a 2017 National Care Survey, Good Run Research interviewed 1,000 caretakers, and the thing that caused the most stress when settling the estate was the stuff. We have worked so hard for all of our possessions, and the cold, hard reality is our kids and our grandkids don't want them. The problem is no one wants our stuff. Okay, let's take a little bit of time for pausing for questions, but do remember, as we said at the beginning of the presentation, we are not experts. If we can't answer a question, we suggest that you research the answer on aap.org, AARP.org, or at your local library or on the internet, being sure that you're looking at reliable sources or with a reputable business that specialize in this topic. So now, are there any questions? And if there are, raise your hand.
Do I see anybody does anybody have any questions about anything that the presenter has talked about yet, or any comments? Janet, so Janet, if you take yourself off mute.
Yeah, this is a comment, not a question. When we were moving here about 5 years ago, we had boxes and boxes of stuff in the basement that I thought we should get rid of, and my husband didn't want to do this. So I got the guy who was our moving coordinator to come, and I took him in the basement and I said, how much a pound will this stuff cost to ship? And when he told us, we threw up our hands in the air and said, hurrah, hurrah, and those boxes disappeared in double quick time. So if anyone is thinking of moving, ask someone, what is the cost per pound? Because it will get you motivated.
Thank you, Janet, for that comment. So let's move on. If you have downsizing or decluttering tips or stories like Janet's you would like to share with the group, please hold them and we'll share them later in the presentation. If you're attending by phone, you'll have the opportunity to unmute and to share at the end also. Okay, we're going to take a look at 12 helpful tips as to how we can get rid of stuff. But before we do, please keep in mind that downsizing and decluttering is a process, often an emotional one. And as you recall the people and the stories and the memories behind your stuff, it probably won't get done in one day or even 1 week. That's why you want to start it now, not when you're getting ready to move. You will be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor in your organized, decluttered space, and you'll relieve the stress of having to do this while preparing to move. Do not get discouraged. Even though you won't be done in a day or a week, you'll start seeing results almost immediately. So now let me introduce you to Jill, who will share helpful downsizing and decluttering tips. So take it away, Jill.
Thanks, Karen. So I'm going to start with our first tip, which is to include everyone who's living in your house in this process. That means your spouse, your partner, your kids, your grandkids, everyone, because downsizing can be a massive task, and enlisting members of your household will help you know that you aren't alone in this formidable project. If you do live alone, you can rope in some family members or some friends to help you, because many hands will make light work. If you don't have family or friends to call on, and you do need more help, or you need specialized help, there are businesses and services available in your community to help you, including professional organizers, move managers, decluttering services, and junk haulers. When enlisting your friends and your family to help you, keep these tips in mind. The first one is, it's your stuff and you are in charge. Set clear boundaries if you don't want friends and family making decisions about your stuff, what you're going to keep, what to discard, or who gets what. That's your job. Your friends and family are there to help with sorting, lugging, boxing, transporting, helping you decide when they're asked, and providing moral support. And finally, to help make the effort fun. You can also give some clear direction and set time limits and encourage breaks just to relax and enjoy each other's company. If you're the person that is helping a family member or a friend, please remember that it's not your stuff, so you can't make decisions for your friend or family member unless you are asked. You can offer physical help with cleaning, sorting, packing, transporting. You can offer moral support. And it's a good idea not to treat this as a free shopping event. You can express an interest or accept something you want if it's offered to you. And finally, don't judge. So we're going to ask you a question here, and that is, how long have you lived in your current home? And if you just take a look at all these choices here, if you want to just unmute yourself and say the number of years that you've been living in your current home. And just say it all at once.
Number 8.
5.
15.
41.
51.
10. Great, thank you very much for that. And if you want to go ahead and put yourselves back on mute after that question. And wow, someone said 51 years. I heard a 41. I did hear some on the lower side as well. But I think it's important, as we think about all these years we've been in our homes, to know that we really cannot downsize in one weekend. We will need some help getting this done, even if this is something that we think we can do by ourselves. So I'm going to move on to our second tip, which is the 4-pile sort: keep, sell, donate, and trash. And these 4 piles make it much easier for you to get to work. So you put the sell and the donate piles near where you are working, and you put the keep pile far away on the other side of the room, or maybe it's in another room, which means that you have to get up and walk all the way across the room or somewhere else to keep something. It's amazing how much you don't end up keeping if it's far away from you. Our next tip, tip number 3, is the 10-minute sweep. It can take a long time to clean a room. So try to focus on baby steps, not the whole room at once. And we suggest this as the best way to organize a room. Look at the room as small 2 by 2 foot sections. And you'll see that a red square just popped up on the screen. And we want you to think about this in terms of losing 50 pounds. If you tried to do that in a week, well, it wouldn't work. But if you were to try and lose 1 pound at a time, you're much more likely to be successful. The same is true with trying to clean up a room. If you have everyone in the family, or just yourself if you're living alone, pick a 2 by 2 foot area and you just clean for 10 minutes a day. You don't have to try for more, but try not to do less. And if you work in an organized way, whether around the edges of a room, you might try working left to right, right to left. You could start in the center of the room and work out. Whatever system you create, try and stick with it. And you might think about doing this activity after dinner, but before you start watching TV in the evening. And if you tried to stay consistent for 5 nights a week, every week, you would see that your home will start to look more organized after just a few weeks. And this approach will also work for cleaning out closets, attics, basements, and the garage. So our tip number 4, every item has a home. Try not to let things pile up. Designate a place to put things away, keep like items together, and put things where they're supposed to go, which would mean unpacking after a trip, returning from shopping, tools and supplies away after you finish a project, groceries in the kitchen, clothes in the closet. So we're just trying to have a system that everything gets put away and doesn't pile up. Do we have any questions at this point, Sarah? Anybody got their hands up?
Questions? I'm seeing none.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
wait,
keep going.
wait a minute, Paula. I think Paula might have a question.
Okay,
I find it, again, maybe I'm wrong, it's really not a question, but I've been kind of like going through my house, and my motto is, if I didn't know I had it, I got rid of it. And if I haven't used it over a year, I get rid of it. When I say get rid of it, it depends upon what condition it's in too. And I do find that that helps a lot. Still got a lot more to go though.
that's very good though. Thanks for sharing that. That's helpful. Great. So we're going to go on to our next tip, which is tip number 5. Could I have the next slide, please? And that is equal in, equal out. And that means when you bring something new into your home, something goes out. Just because you found an item on sale doesn't mean that your home got bigger. Of course, during this last year, we have all found ourselves stocking up on a few essential items, but this is a good way to get some control over what's coming in and going out. I read an article at the end of last year of a woman who had made a pledge to herself to donate 2,020 items by the end of 2020. She created a spreadsheet. She was very systematic and organized, and she reached her goal. I mean, that's a giant goal. We may not all have that goal, but you could set an item a day or a couple items a month. Whatever you decide will work for you, if you could set it and then stick with it. Our 6th tip is about those legacy items. If you've got some china, silver, jewelry, or other items that Karen mentioned earlier in the presentation that you might have received from family that you're not using now and you're planning to leave to your loved ones, you might think about giving those items away now so that you no longer have to tell your loved ones you'll give them something when you're gone. And we often do hear people say that they are going to leave their children or other family members these items. But the reality is, if you're not using or enjoying these items right now, you should consider giving them away. That means that you can watch other people enjoy them. And an added benefit, it empties your home faster. I just want to share one caveat on this. If you decide to give something away, make sure you're really ready to let it go. I received a piece of jewelry from a family member, and after a little while, she decided she wasn't ready to let it go. So she asked for it back. So you need to make sure that you're ready to have something be given away. Our 7th tip is to avoid punting. And that is guilting the next generation into taking an item that they probably don't want anyway. We often had furniture that we accepted from our parents because we knew they would be upset if we didn't take it. We may never have actually wanted it, and we kept that piece of furniture out of obligation. So guess what? The next generations do not feel that obligation. So how do we find out if they want it? We ask them. And if we ask them and they say they don't want it, then we don't save it for them anyway. This is the time when we might sell or donate that object to someone who does want or need it. And that brings us to our 8th tip, which is donate, donate, donate. Because the reality is there is always someone else that will need this object more than you do. You can give to people who are truly in need in your community. There are many resources within all our communities where we can donate. If you decide you want to consign your items first, and then you find that there are items that do not sell, consider letting those items be donated directly from the shop so that they don't come back into your home. And we encourage you to make sure that whatever you're donating, the items are in good condition, because it's easier for you to throw them away than to put the burden on Goodwill or the other large organizations out there and add to their trash needs. So another tip we have is to get rid of any duplicates. Do you really need all those souvenir mugs and magnets you've collected but don't use? You might keep a few of your favorites and donate the rest. The important thing is to keep the memory, but maybe not all the stuff. There have been suggestions to arrange them artistically, take a picture. You can consider repurposing some of your favorite mugs into pen and pencil holders, maybe a planter, or you could fill them with goodies and give them as gifts. You could consider something similar with dishes that have memories, but that you're no longer using, like that old painted pottery that may contain lead, or your china that may have a little gold rim on it that doesn't go into the dishwasher or the microwave. You might keep a single serving and use it decoratively somewhere in your home. We've got some other suggestions of places to donate. And as Karen mentioned, Iris mentioned at the beginning of the program, you may need to be aware of if you have to pay for shipping, and you should always contact these organizations first before you get ready to make a donation. We're suggesting the Epilepsy Foundation. You can schedule a contactless pickup online. Shoes can go to Souls for Souls, or you could ship for free to Zappos for Good. There's a great program out there, Cell Phones for Soldiers, for phones. And household linens can be sent to the ASPCA or perhaps to your local animal shelter. We've had a lot of suggestions come in over the time we've been doing this. We'd love to hear yours as well, but one is to put some tables out in your neighborhood so that your neighbors could come by and collect things, kind of like a free yard sale. Just put things out. You might consider clothing, especially vintage items or vintage objects like an old toaster. These items could be donated to a high school theater group or a community theater group. They might be very grateful to have objects like this. Some specialty organizations like Dress for Success are always looking for very good quality current business clothes. And there are some buy nothing groups in various communities where you can have items be donated and somebody would pick them up. This is all done online. And then other online resources are Craigslist, FreeCycle. There's to sell, there might be Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. These are just some other suggestions for you. And our ninth tip for you is to be realistic. This is a hard one because we're often not very realistic about our stuff. And what we're showing you here is a picture of an adult man's closet, but it could be anyone's closet that I'm going to talk about. It could be my closet. To the left are his size 28 pants. And then moving to the right are size 30s, some 32s, a bunch of 34s, and finally 3 pairs of size 36 pants. So there are about 20 pairs of pants hanging in this closet, and he admits that only 3 pairs fit him. Why do we hold on to all these clothes that don't fit? Well, likely it's because we think we're going to fit back into them, right? And even if we do manage to make that goal, will they still be in style? Will we want to wear them? The reality is we probably won't ever wear those pants again. And it is okay to give away the 20s, the 30s, and the 32s. So if you have something that you haven't worn for several years, consider donating it. And we mentioned food here at the same time. If the dates are expired, non-perishable food needs to be discarded. But if it is not expired, and if it's something, maybe you bought it for the pandemic, you might consider donating it if you are not going to use it. Our 10th tip is about cleaning out your phone. While you're decluttering, this is also the perfect time to give your favorite piece of pocket-sized tech the thorough clean out that it deserves. And to get you started, first thing we suggest is to delete and organize apps. There might be some apps you're not using regularly. They clutter up your phone and they use valuable storage space, so just get rid of them. You can manage your photos and music and videos. They take up a lot of space. All can be uploaded to the cloud and then downloaded when you need them. And it's also a good time to get rid of unflattering or unwanted photos. They should be cleaned out regularly. If you use any kind of app, a calendar feature or a scheduling app on your phone to create lists for the grocery store or for meetings, you could input all of your tasks and reminders to that app. And if it works for you and enables you to stick to it, it's a good way to streamline all those to-do lists. And finally, clean up the contacts on your phone. You might have somebody's phone number whom you haven't spoken to in years, or you could even have a contact, you don't even know who they are. Take stock and update all those contacts. This is a tough one, disposing of electronics, old TVs, radios, Blackberries, Walkman, computers, cameras, cords, maybe some keyboards, a mouse. How many of these do you have taking up space and collecting dust? You're probably never going to use them again. That's a lot right there on our picture on the screen. Each year, we generate around 40 million tons of electronic waste worldwide. That's like throwing away over 69 million laptops a day. But you can't just throw them away. There are some strict regulations, and New Hampshire has many regulations about discarding electronics. If you do have something you want to discard, you should check with your local recycling center. Sometimes they offer special days for special items. And another suggestion is to recycle or donate instead of trashing these items. They may still have value. When they're in landfills, they may have toxic materials that are dangerous for the environment. But if you're going to donate, which is an alternative method of getting rid of these items, You need to remove your personal data and your personal information. This can be done by deleting all the information, permanently deleting it. You can overwrite it with a new binary data. Some people suggest just destroying it, but that's not a great idea if you're going to donate the device. And finally, you should always remove all the batteries because they need to be recycled separately. There's other sources for recycling these items that will be available through our handouts. And now we're on our last tip, tip number 12. This is the most challenging, so we've saved it for the end. It is paper, books, mail, photos. These are very difficult. In fact, anything that's a paper item is very difficult because it represents potential contacts, potential lost friendships, potential dates, phone numbers, potential money, and potential memories. It's all about possibility, and naturally, we don't want to lose those things. So we end up holding on to all this paper. If you have a crosscut or a micro shredder, we recommend that you promptly shred all the mail that comes into your house right when it comes in that may have personal information that you don't need to keep. That way it won't pile up. If you don't have a shredder, you can think about buying one, or you might pay attention to shredding opportunities, which will start happening again. I know AARP partners with different organizations. The shredding will help cut down on clutter immediately. When you're clearing out other papers, do look for and shred anything from your files or your stacks that has personal information on it. And photographs and photo albums are another huge part of the paper conundrum. And here is a truth. You do not need to save all of your photos. If you don't know the names of anyone in a particular photo, consider not keeping it. And consider discarding blurry, duplicate, similar, or faded photos. And photos that are no longer meaningful to you or anyone else. For the photos you are keeping, you may be the only person who knows the names of the people in the picture or what it represents. So write it down. This is something that your family does care about, the stories that these photos can tell. And consider giving photos to family or friends who will treasure them. I know in the past when I would be entertaining, and I hope to be doing it again this summer, I would put a big bowl of loose photographs on my counter that might be meaningful to the people coming in my house and encourage them to take one. That's sort of a good way to get rid of things easily. Another very difficult area for us are books. These are really, really hard to get rid of. And we've had some great suggestions from audiences about getting rid of books. Maybe you've got some as well. We've heard about those little mini libraries. We've talked about donating to your library. There are a lot of options through different organizations. And hopefully we'll hear some more ideas from you all. And I think we'll go on to the next slide. Which I can't find. So we've completed sharing our information with you, and we're looking forward to getting some feedback from you now. And we'll be taking everybody off mute to get some information from you. And as we've said at the very beginning of this presentation, that we are not experts. If we can't answer a question, we suggest researching through AARP.org. Your local library is another good resource. The internet has lots of good information. Make sure that you're looking at reliable sources. And there are many reputable businesses who specialize in this topic. So Sarah, if you wanted to take us off mute and we could get some feedback.
Sure. So hi, everybody again. A couple quick things I do want to comment. Great, thank you so much for the presentation first. That was really great. A couple of things here in town for folks looking to to donate. For those of you, I think most of people know this, but for folks watching this recording afterwards that may not, we have a wonderful thrift store that's managed, run, and through our Council on Aging. And so 100% of the proceeds of things donated to our thrift store goes to our Pelham Council on Aging. So I want to welcome anybody from the community that happens to be watching this afterwards, or those that may not know that we have a great little thrift store here in Pelham, New Hampshire. A great place to donate. And those folks that are interested in donating or looking for more information in the town of Pelham, they can contact our thrift store directly. Our thrift store manager is Sue DeFranco, and her phone number is 508-7157. So if anybody is interested in doing that. The other thing I wanted to let folks know that they may not know is we are going to be hosting a shredding event. So if you, over the next few months, are doing this downsizing and decluttering, especially with the paper, like she was saying, create a shred box of all those documents you want to shred on Saturday, July 24th, I believe is the date, from 9 in the morning until noontime. Is that correct, Janet? Yep. So 9 to noon is our shredding event here at the Senior Center. It is sponsored by Enterprise Bank and the Pelham Council on Aging. And so we're really excited to have a giant shredding truck. We'll be coming to the Senior Center, the Hobbs Community Center, and we'll be taking, I believe, up to 10 boxes of shreddable items, so free of charge. So come on in, and at the same time, our Senior Center is going to be having an open house. So come on in and check out the classes and check out our Senior Center at that time, Saturday, July 24th. So I think those tips are great, and the information that's been provided so far has been fabulous. And I want to thank Karen and Jill both for their insights and information. Does anybody have questions, comments that they would like to share with our group? If so, you can take yourself off of mute. I see, feel free to take yourself off of mute. And
I have
anybody?
a suggestion.
Sure.
Our local Staples in Londonderry does take electronics and they recycle them at no charge.
Oh, that's
Now,
good.
if you want them to wipe the hard drive clean, there is a charge, but I just recently deleted all of the personal information off of an very old hard drive and took it over last month, and there was no charge for it.
That's wonderful.
Great. Thank you for that tip. You know, we have heard about Staples before, but that's more information that you shared. So thank you.
And Best Buy as well, I think. But I do want to caution one thing. When you just delete, it doesn't remove all information from your hard drive. So if you are going to be doing something like that, you either need to do that, what Jill mentioned, writing over it with binary data, or reformat your hard drive first before you take it out of your machine or before you get rid of your machine. Because
Good
there are people who can go back in and reconstruct data that's just deleted. It's just removing pointers, but the data is still out there.
Iris, would that be similar, like what you're saying? Is that similar to kind of restoring to factory settings, or is that like?
I don't think so. I think restoring to factory settings sets certain settings. I don't know what the word is that I want, but I don't think that restoring to factory settings removes your data, but there should be some kind of program out there, or maybe a utility that you can find online to reformat your hard drive.
Okay,
And that would wipe everything out.
gotcha.
And actually, I know there is one because I just reformatted one of those little things this past week. So it's definitely on a Windows machine, that I can tell you.
All right, cool.
Okay, if you're getting rid of it, if you're throwing out your equipment because it's really old, then you can destroy the hard drives. You could take it out, you could hit it with a hammer. It's lots of fun, put nails in it. My sister likes to do that. My husband runs over them with the pickup truck. So use your imagination if you're not donating it.
And you can get out a little bit of your frustration at the same time.
Exactly. Mhm. Yep.
Does anyone else have anything else they would like to add, or any other comments, or?
Sarah, we do have a couple other slides in conclusion that we do want to add in.
Sure, okay, let me, I think Connie had something she did want
I
to,
think Connie had something.
yeah. Connie, you're on mute, so we want to just make sure you come off of mute. See if we, Connie,
I can probably send her an ask to unmute.
let me see, I'm
Connie Barnes, yeah, there we go. I sent her an ask to unmute. Maybe that'll help.
okay.
There
It's
she
now.
goes.
Okay, something I read recently somewhere or heard somewhere is that sometimes when you're questioning the value, like, should I get rid of this? I might need it. If it's $20 or less, you could replace it. It's not going to be a big loss. So that's another way to kind of judge whether you want to get rid of something. Is it going to cost you that much to replace it? And I thought that was another good tip.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Write that one down too, if I can find my pen.
Yeah, you just reminded me of a key question that I like to use. When I'm looking at something and can't decide, I ask myself, if I didn't own this, would I buy it?
Mhm.
Ah,
And that's
Yeah.
a quick decision maker for
Mm.
me.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if it's something that you have that someone it's been around for a long time, was given to you by family, whatever, you can look at it and say, do I even like this?
Yeah.
It's still in my house, but do I even like it?
If it looks like junk, get rid of it.
But what you have to remember is just because you got rid of it doesn't mean you go out and buy something else. It's nice to have that empty place as well sometimes.
Did you want to finish up with the
I
rest
think
of
Paula just came off of mute, so she might have something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm going now, and I wanted to thank everybody. There were some very good ideas, and thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining
Bye,
us.
everybody. Bye.
So something pop in the chat from Nicole and John. It's www.filesshredder.org. Not sure exactly if that's a place to get shredders or a place to have stuff shredded. Maybe they can give us a little more information on it, or we could just try it and see. Okay. If we don't have more questions, I'll bring back up the screen share. We took it down so you could see each other while we were talking. But if you have more questions, once we get done with these next couple slides, or more tips too, feel free to tell us about them. Okay, let me get the screen share going again. And then I got to, it's all the way over here. I got to move it. Come over here so I could get you slideshow. All righty. Okay, Karen.
Okay, so in the end, you can't take it with you. So why live with all the clutter now? Your bedroom may look like this right now, but with these decluttering tips, where am I? It could look like this. The perfect oasis in which to read a good book or get a good night's sleep. Does your kitchen look like this? Or maybe
Yeah.
not quite, or maybe not quite as cluttered? So think about how decluttering would make it so much easier to cook, clean, and find things now, and to pack up when or if you decide to downsize. So Iris?
Thanks, Karen. We've covered quite a few tips. And as we mentioned earlier, we will be sending you these electronically. But the main thing that we want you to take away from this presentation is that the stuff that you have, a lot of the stuff you have represents stories, emotions, experiences, and people, but it's just stuff. Even without it, you'll still have those stories, those emotions, and those experiences, and hopefully some of those people in your life. So celebrate the stories and keep your meaningful objects. Collect your experiences and get rid of everything that's just stuff. Righty, and I had the wrong slide up. Sorry, that slide was supposed to be up there. Trying to do two things at once. All right, so thank you for participating. And these are the different ways on your screen that you can get in contact with AARP. We will be sending you these. We are going to mail a survey to Sarah and Susan to ask them to send it out to you. And we would appreciate it if you could take a couple moments. It's very short. It's anonymous, to fill it out. It helps us understand what's working and what's not working in our presentations, and to then make changes. And just to let you know, as we get these tips from you, we also do update our presentations to share some really great tips that we get. We will also be mailing the links and the resources lists to Susan and Sarah to share with you. That way we don't have your email addresses. That's why we don't send them to you directly. That stays private. AARP does have a whole bunch of other Speakers Bureau topics that we present. And we are going to be presenting another one later on this month, I think, or maybe it's early next month for you. But if you belong to an organization besides this one that you think might be interested in our topics, please share our email with them and let them know we'd be happy to talk to them and see what we might want to be able to present to their groups. And if you find that you're looking for something to do, we're also looking for people to be part of our Speakers Bureau. So if you like to speak, if you like to support presentations, please feel free to reach out at NHAARP@aarp.org, and we'll chat with you and we'll tell you all about it. We're very flexible and we would love to have you with us if you want to. Okay, so I'm just going to share a couple things that are coming up. AARP is doing almost everything virtual right now. We don't think we'll be back out in the real world until the fall. But all of our virtual offerings are free. They're open to the public. Anyone can attend them. You don't have to be 50 plus. You do have to pre-register though. That's just for Zoom security primarily. These are a few that are coming up. On May 11th, we'll be doing a talk on sorting fact from fiction. You can't always believe what you read online, and this will tell you how to help identify what's true and what's not. We have a monthly gentle yoga with Kathy Arnaud, who is a certified yoga instructor. So come in, breathe out, and relax with Kathy. And on May 26th, we've been doing a series with Chef Gardener Liz Barber of The Creative Feast, and we're going to be doing another part with her on May 26th. She's going to show us some of her edible flowers in her garden, and then she's going to go over some delicious recipes using these edible flowers. You can always check and see everything that's happening at AARP by going to aarp.org/nh. That list is constantly updated, and it's not just a list of local AARP activities. Just like us, AARP across the country is offering a lot of free events, and a lot of those events are open to anyone who wants to participate. So those are some of the things you can check out at AARP, and we thank you again for joining us today. I'm going to stop the share again as soon as I find out where it is. Is my share up? My share's not even up, is it?
No, it is. It's up.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to stop the share. And if any, I'm going to give, Sarah, you can take back host if you want.
Okay.
Reclaim yourself.
I think you have to actually do that.
Oh, you don't have an option to reclaim? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Oops. Nope. Hang on. I was going to rename you instead. Okay. I made you the host.
Okay. There I am. Now I'm back. All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody's coming in. Like I said, Iris, Jill, Karen, thank you so much. I'm going to do a quick photo for our Instagram, if that's okay with everybody. And since I can actually see people's faces and have a smile on people, usually lately it's been like, you smile, everyone's wearing masks and they laugh at me.
That's right.
You can't really see it. So let me get my camera up here, and then we're gonna, all right, so we're gonna all smile. All right, great. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop the recording. Let me see, yes, do I want to stop?